This is Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, with your hosts, Brandon Spinner and Michael Burns.
And welcome into another edition of Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, the Power Rankings episode. This is week 17, and Power Rankings are brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. Don't forget to use the promo code BNB at 10thwhiskey.com for 10% off your order. If you want to get some whiskey or anything merchandise-wise, you're getting 10% off of that. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Spinner, alongside one of my good buddies, my co-host, Michael Burns. Mikey on location. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm in Rosemary Beach, enjoying some time off from work. But I'm still
sun?
Getting some sun. Of course, getting burnt the first day. You got to go ahead and get that in. I actually had to buy a sun shirt for today. That one of those shirts.
Oh boy,
It's not too bad. It's more preventative. I was tired of putting on sunscreen and still getting burnt.
Catching any baseball while you're down at the beach?
Not too much besides seeing the Cubs take up and put a beating on the Cardinals. That's always good, enjoyable.
Yeah. Yes. Again, this is our Power Rankings episode, week 17. We're breaking out our top 10 in the Power Rankings standings. So without further ado, Michael Burns, who is your 10th team?
My 10th team is the Boston Red Sox. They were 9th for me. They are falling back. I know that there are some teams who have a record better in front of them, but they're all on huge losing streaks. And so coming around, I looked at and saw that the Red Sox are at least 6-4 in their last 10, have a great run differential, and are on a one-game winning streak when I was last looked. So better than some of the teams around them at that same record. I still think their offense is fantastic. I'm blanking on the lefty. James Paxton is looking like James Paxton after that one bad start. It kind of scared me a little bit, but I think Boston gets a starting pitcher at the deadline and it's supposed to help that run differential.
I actually had Boston fall 3 in my standings from 11th to 14th because they lost 2 out of 3 to the Oakland Athletics this past week.
Yeah.
They're not in my top 10. Number 10 for me is the Philadelphia Phillies. They're actually down 2 spots from last week. They had a rough week going 1-2 versus the Brewers and the Guardians this week. Only a +8 run differential. They're still 53-46, still second in that division, the NL East, which they haven't played great baseball this week, any of those teams in that division. Actually, the best team in that division this week was the Washington Nationals, who just got their first sweep of the season. But number 10 for me, the Philadelphia Phillies. Michaels, who's your 9th team?
My 9th team, I've got the Houston Astros moving up 5 spots. I know it could be argued that the Houston Astros could be higher, but there's some teams that I think in a one-game playoff would beat the Houston Astros that are going to be a little bit higher on my rankings right now. And I know Astros fans don't like because they got the next best record behind Texas there, but I still like some other teams better than Houston right now.
So my 9th team is the Cincinnati Reds. They are on a 5-game heater right now. Just got a sweep at home versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's their 8th sweep of the season. That's the most that they've had in a single season since 2013 when they had 11. Their first sweep of Arizona in Great American Ballpark since 2007. They had a rough start to the week. They lost 2 in a row to the San Francisco Giants, but since then they've gone on a 5-game winning streak, winning the final 2 versus the Giants, beating the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are a very good team, or were a very good team, but Arizona fell out of my top 10 this week. So the Cincinnati Reds up 3 from 12 last week to 9 this week, 55-46, a half game back of first place of the Milwaukee Brewers. They are going to have a tough stretch ahead the next 10 games, but right now they're playing very good baseball, 9 games above 500.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about the Cincinnati Reds sweeping the Arizona Diamondbacks because that's who I have at 8 as the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know they just got swept, but I think if you put, like I was saying, the Houston Astros at 9, if you put the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Houston Astros in a one-game playoff, I like Zach Gallen better than Framber Valdez in a one-game playoff. I know those don't exist anymore, I still like Arizona's offense since Alec Thomas came back up from the minor leagues. He's been hitting well from the 9 spot. When you get that out of your 9 spot, they're going to add at the deadline a starting pitcher, and that's why I've got them at 8. I still like their offense. Um,
They're 2-8 in their last 10 games.
but the teams around them in the similar record aren't.
I'm just giving you crap,
Oh
man.
no, that's what this is about, baby. That's what this is about. If you didn't, then this wouldn't be a show.
So you have Arizona in 8th. I have a team that was in my top 5 last week making a big plummet. The Toronto Blue Jays down 3 this week, sitting 55-45 after this past weekend. They lost 2 of 3 to both the Padres and the Mariners. They're still a plus 37 run differential. They've got a good pitching staff, especially if Manoah is back to Manoah. You've got Chris Bassett, you've got Kevin Gausman, and if Barrios or Kikuchi give you anything, you're looking at a great rotation there. The offense, the offense still can't come through in the clutch, it seems. And the Mariners did squeak 2 out of 3 out of them. The Blue Jays did get the final game of that set, so hopefully they can carry that going forward. They've got a big matchup this week at the Dodgers to open up this week, but the Toronto Blue Jays are my 8th team. Who's your 7th?
7th, I've got the Cincinnati Reds, who you talked about, moving up. I mean, when you sweep a good team like the Arizona Diamondbacks, you're going to move up in the power rankings. And I've got them at 7. I know it was a rough all-star breakish area, but like you said, they've been hot since.
Yeah, they lost 6 in a row out of the, 5 out of a row out of the break, and then they won 5 in a row since. So it's kind of been 50-50 as they're 5-5 in their last 10, but they're playing much better as of late. My 7th team is the team that's ahead of them in the standings, the Milwaukee Brewers. They went 500 this past week, 3-3. They're on a 1-game losing streak. They almost beat the Braves 2 out of 3, but gave it away in the 8th on Sunday. Thing about the Braves, even the Reds, their run differential is a negative. The Brewers at -6 run differential. I think I just said the Braves. I meant to say the Brewers.
Yes.
They're 55-45, a half game above the Reds. They beat the Phillies, who are a hot team coming into this week, 2 out of 3, and then the Braves, they lost 2 of 3 too this weekend at home. But the Brewers still 7-3 in their last 10. They're up from 9th in my rankings last week up to 7th, 10 games above 500. All of a sudden, that NL Central looks a little bit better than it has as of late.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Milwaukee, all of a sudden making it look more like a competitive division. I've got Milwaukee at 6, 1 spot up. Uh, Corbin
Okay.
Burns is back. He's got 4 straight wins. The guy is getting double-digit strikeouts going into his starts. Sal Frelick, their top prospect, just came up and made an immediate impact.
Talk about an immediate impact. That was a hell of a game. 3 for 3, 2 the game-winning RBI, the game-tying RBI. What a day.
He should have been up months ago. They had
Yeah.
they had the crowded outfield, and they decided to keep him down there. Hopefully, he can keep it rolling, and the Brewers add at the deadline, maybe till their infield a little bit. I don't think they need too much outfield help. With Christian Yelich playing like Christian Yelich again.
Yeah, 2019 Christian Yelich. The 6th team for me is a team that has not been outside of the top 3 in any of my power rankings this year, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh.
They had a god-awful week this week. They're 3-7 in their last 10, but more importantly, they went 1-6 this week, losing 3 of 3 to the Texas Rangers and then losing 3 of 4 to the Baltimore Orioles. They still have a great run differential, plus 144. They have the second highest amount of wins, tied with the Orioles at 61, but they have just not played well at all in the month of July. They've been pretty garbage against good teams as of late, too. Remember earlier in the season, they were winning games against teams that weren't the best records and weren't the best rosters. Now they're playing teams here in the month of July, and they just can't seem to stream wins together. Now they're going to face a team this week against the Marlins, who have been reeling as of late.
Ooh.
So we'll see if they can get back on track. But Tampa Bay Rays are 6th on my power rankings. Time for our top 5.
Top 5, baby, and that's where I think we're just falling right in order here. I've got the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, getting swept by Texas. You got to beat the good teams, and it's not happening.
and you had them falling. I believe you had that, third last week?
Yes, they fell 2 spots for me. They were third, and they just keep plummeting week from week. They were long ago first. They dropped to second, and finally Baltimore overtook them. And now there's a lot of teams that are just beating the good teams and the bad teams.
Yeah, my fifth team is a team that has been playing very well as of late. 6-4 in their last 10, but more importantly, they are 4-2 in their last 6 since last week's power rankings. They're up 1 in my power rankings from 6 to 5 this week. The Houston Astros, top 5 team right now. They've got a plus 55 run differential, 56-44 in a tough division with the Texas Rangers. And if you look now, the Mariners and the LA Angels are playing much better baseball as well. Both teams there are above 500. Very difficult AL West division, maybe not as strong as the AL East, but the Houston Astros, they're doing all this without a lot of their players. Think about it. Framber Valdez is their stud pitcher, but if you go on the offensive side, the guy who basically won them the series against the Mariners last year, you don't have him in your lineup.
Talking about Jordan or Jose Altuve? Both those guys aren't in there right now.
Yeah, Jordan is the guy who has really been missing, but we'll talk about it later on this week. But I think Kyle Tucker is a sneaky candidate as one of the most underrated players in baseball.
Absolutely. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
So the Houston Astros start my top 5. So who is fourth for you?
Fourth is the Texas Rangers, who gave it to the Tampa Bay Rays. Still a great offense that they are going to have to add to the rotation, maybe. I mean, I don't know what they're really missing too bad. They got Josh Young is doing decent again. I mean, where do they add at the deadline to make that team better?
I think maybe in the bullpen and probably a back end of the rotation arm. If you can get an ace, maybe go for it. If you think you've got a shot at the World Series and you want to sell a couple of those higher prospects, maybe you go for a Stroman or you go for a Lucas Giolito, or I don't think you need to improve anywhere on offense. You've got the best offense in the league, and that's also my fourth team is the Texas Rangers. 4-2 this week, 3-0 versus Tampa, of course, and then they lost 2 of 3 to the Dodgers in Texas, and that's the only reason why they were fourth this week and not moving up for me, because originally I thought that they were going to be jumping up to third, but the team I have in third is the LA Dodgers, who beat the Rangers this week 2-3, and they also beat the Baltimore Orioles 2 of 3 this week, a 4-2 week. The Dodgers jump up 4 in my power rankings from 7th last week to 3rd this week. Great baseball. They have the second best record in the National League. They now lead that NL West, which was a logjam a couple of weeks ago, by I think it's now 4 or 5 games, 4.5, I believe, over the Arizona Diamondbacks coming into play on Monday. The Dodgers, they're doing it with a bunch of players on the IL.
You almost slipped there.
Yeah, I almost.
Yeah, it's 4 games. I've got the Dodgers in third as well. They're 4 games over Arizona, and they were in third just a couple weeks ago. With the San Francisco Giants really struggling, they're on a 5-game losing streak. Arizona not playing well, like you said, only 3 wins in their last 10. They've got to make additions if they want to be able to compete with these Dodgers, who just, I think I've been fighting for them against them all year, and you're like, dude, they're coming. They're coming. Freddie Freeman and Mookie are going to lead that team.
Yeah, Freddie and Mookie, and then whatever they're getting from anybody else. Will Smith had a great week this week as well, putting up numbers, and this pitching staff is continuously finding someone to get the job done. So the Dodgers are my third team as well. And then in second, I think we have the same top 2 as we've had the last week and a half or so. Who's your second team?
Yeah, second is Baltimore Orioles, who keep calling up more and more kids. Colton Cowser came up and isn't getting full time. He's in a strong side platoon, I think. But guy with a tremendous amount of talent. They've got more guys just sitting in the wings that if someone's struggling, they're going to promote their guys from within, and Baltimore's playing great baseball.
Great baseball. Gunner's starting to play what we thought Gunner was going to do. He's hitting home runs that are going 400-plus feet every day. It's seemingly anytime I see an Oriole highlight, it seems like it's him hitting the ball 400 plus feet. They did lose 2-3 to the Dodgers, but then they came back and took a big series in Tampa, on the road in Tampa, 3-1 in that series in a 4-game set. They were 4-3 this week in 7 games, second best record in baseball. They lead the Tampa Bay Rays by, what is it now? I believe 2 games, as they've got 4 less losses than the Rays, but the same amount of wins. So they've got a couple games in hand. And then our first place team, the same team that's been there all week. I was this close to putting the Orioles in first place, but the fact that they still have a 3.5 game deficit to this first place team, the Atlanta Braves, who have struggled since the All-Star break, but still the best record in baseball.
What a great series that would be right now to have Atlanta go up against Baltimore.
It was a great series a couple of weeks ago when they played.
Right, and Atlanta took 2 of 3 from them, if I remember that correctly. But Atlanta's going to add probably maybe an arm, a more legit arm at the deadline. Some bullpen. I mean, just minor. They don't need any major pieces. Atlanta's just going to keep rolling.
Yeah, they're going to keep rolling. They'll get back into their stride here. They just got a big win on Sunday versus the Brewers. Ozzie Albies, a 3-run homer in the top of the 8th. They've got a plus 148 run differential, which is second best in baseball, 64-34. They've lost 6 out of their last 10 games, and they're still 30 games above 500.
How many home runs did Austin Riley hit this weekend? Or this
6.
week?
He hit 6 in 5 games. He's starting to heat up. He's got 22 on the season. You've got Ronald Acuna, who's probably the unanimous MVP in the NL right now. Oh, and then on top of that, you've got Metals, and I think he has the second most home runs in baseball, only behind Shohei.
More home runs than the Braves have losses. Or at least it was until this last week, maybe.
Yes, I think he's got 32 home runs, and they've got 34 losses as well. But that is the top 10 power rankings this week, which is brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. Again, don't forget to use the code BNB, promo code BNB at 10thwhiskey.com for 10% off your order, whether that's whiskey, whether that's apparel. They've got mixers. I believe they've got some bitters if you want to use that. And you can go buy a Barrels and Barrels.
Dude, look how slick that is.
Yeah, and drink your 10th Mountain out of our Barrels and Barrels Whiskey Wisdom glasses. We've got 2-ounce glasses. We've got Glencairn. So if you're a whiskey fan, head on over to our Instagram page. The link in our bio. You can buy any of the glassware or the hat that Michael's wearing, because those are now for sale as well. Another great edition of the top 10 power rankings. A couple honorable mentions I want to mention this week. A couple teams that jumped up in my standings. The Los Angeles Angels are playing very good baseball as well. Are they going to be trade deadline sellers or buyers? I don't know. That's going to be the big question for the next week and a half. And also the Seattle Mariners playing better baseball this week. They beat the Blue Jays. They beat the Twins 2 out of 4. So they stayed 500 there, but they're still just about 500. Man, but
Middle of the road teams like in the teens are suddenly on winning streaks, and the teams that are trying to decide are we buyers or sellers are playing good baseball. They're trying to push that sell decision as far as they can up until the deadline.
It's going to be an interesting 10 days.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really seen anything yet. The ice has not been broken. Maybe there's just too many teams that are actually competing this year and compared to the past. I mean,
yeah.
The Cubs are way down there as, like the 21st something team, and they're still not hunting the season yet.
No, they've just won 5 out of 7 and on a 3-game heater after beating the Cardinals 3 out of 4. The Marlins all of a sudden look like a team that can't get a win other than their win on Sunday. They're still 54-47, but they're out of the playoffs as of today. They're 2 of 8.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what you're all about. Uri getting benched, but
that's exactly what they get for benching Uri.
You've been bitching about that for weeks, but again. This is our top 10 power rankings episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done it already, please hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. We're continuing to grow. We're now over 500 subscribers, continuing to grow day by day. We hope you enjoy everything we bring you here at Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, whether it's baseball or we've got whiskey reviews, and we're going to have a whiskey episode with 10th Mountain coming up here down the pike within the next couple of weeks. So with that said, Michael Burns, do you have anything to say to our friends, families, and viewers?
check out our merchandise. Go order some glasses. Check out the hat. Brandon's got the shirt on. Got to go over to Charlie Mike Never Weekend. Get a comfy shirt and let's go.